So it's a total pleasure to welcome onto the show a man who I've admired for many, many years. Very, very funny guy, and he sings one of my favourite songs of all time. He's probably going to want to kill me when I bring this up because...
It's not Chesney Hawkes, one and only, is it?
It's not Chesney Hawkes, unfortunately. It's the man who sings Black Bin Bags. Just rip with me. Dave Spikey on the show, everyone.
How are you?
I'm fine, yourself?
I'm good, are you? Yeah?
We mostly know you from Phoenix Nights, but we're going to talk about your tour stuff very soon. How did that all start for you, the part in Phoenix Nights and stuff? Going to take you way back when?
Well, what happened was, doing the stand-up circuit, met Peter Kay and we started writing stuff together. One of the first things we wrote was called That Peter Kay Thing, which was a series of spoof documentaries, really, and one of them was called In the Club, and it was set in a Ukrainian club in Bolton, but it was done like a fly-on-the-wall type thing. And when Channel 4 said to us, will you write as a series based on one of those, it was the one that stood out, really, and we thought, well, you know, the only one where we could get different characters coming in during every episode, you know, and have a different, like, entertainment. We love a bit of, you know, within a show, you like a bit of music and entertainment and stuff, so it was the obvious choice, really.
And you've been knocking around for a while, actually, because there's some exciting things that you did before the Peter Kay thing, because you were actually a compere for Cannon Ball, weren't you? That, to me, stood out straight away.
Well, what happened was, I'd never done a paid gig, and I think because every other comedian in the country was working that night, and I could get to Blackpool in half an hour. I got a phone call saying, can you go and compare the Cannon and Ball show? And I went down to, and without having to think about it really, which helped, and I went on stage and compared this show. And basically the manager was in the wings going, you go on, you do 10 minutes, right? Get them going, then get the impressionist on, Alan Stewart, then you come off, he comes off, then you go back on and do 2 minutes, get Linda Lewis on, Rock-a-doodle-doo, you know what I mean? And all that, and then you go on and get the illusionist on, you know, what's he called?
That's a show, isn't it? You don't get variety like that these days.
Brilliant show, and 3,000 people at Blackpool Opera House getting laughs all of a sudden, and it was, and I must have done okay because they kept me on, and I did loads of tours with them and stuff like that, and because they managed Max Boy, so I worked with Max as well, who I had a brilliant time with, so it was a really strange little, you know, it's like right place, right time thing, isn't it?
Yeah, and of course beyond that then you did Chain Letters, didn't you? You were the host of that.
Chain. I'm still the host of that. I killed it off. I am still on the CV as the current host. They pulled it after me.
So no chance of it coming back then, no?
I don't know. I mean, it's a nice little show, really, but I was still at work, still went to the hospital, and just took 2 weeks off work, and we did 40 shows in 2 weeks, and it's like 5 a day. You can't inject any sort of your personality into it and stuff. Yeah.
Dave, you just said then you still worked at the hospital. I had the pleasure, and I can't remember what it was, but I was with my mum and the TV was on and you came on and she did that thing that I'm sure mothers across the land do. He's a very clever man, him, you know. He used to be the top, and she just made up some title. I'm sure
it was.
Really? Yeah, what was your actual job in sciencey, worldy hospital?
Well, when I left, my job was chief biomedical scientist.
She got it right!
In haematology, yeah. So I was doing all that.
10 points if you can spell it. Go on.
Haematology, I can spell it. So what made you go?
No, that's not how you spell it.
No.
I can spell that was wrong as well.
That's it, but
I got a couple of letters right. You're fine.
Well done.
So did you always kind of do little bits of comedy when you were in that job? Because for me, somebody who looks... Haematology is blood, isn't it?
Yeah.
Somebody who looks at blood, I guess you kind of... you're allowed a personality in a sense of you, but it's not something you would expect. You hear lots of teachers going on and doing comedy.
I think a hospital is the same sort of environment as schools. I think it attracts the sort of creative people to a degree in certain aspects. I mean, if you look at current comedians, you've got Harry Hill, used to be a doctor, Joe Brand was a psychiatric nurse, and in the past, like, you know, Graham Garden and people like that. It's always been like a breeding ground, I think, for comedy talent and drama, because they always used to have like a little drama group that put on reviews, hospital reviews during the summer, and pantomimes at Christmas sort of thing, and it was just a way to go and pull some nurses, really, you know. And I ended up writing them, and I ended up directing them, and I ended up on stage, and that's how it started, really. Yeah, and then somebody says to you that fatal line, you know, you should be a comedian, you're really funny, and you go, you know what, I am. You're right. I'm hilarious. And so you start doing like talent shows and stand-up, and all the way through my hospital career, I just dabbled at it like a bit of a hobby. And I think it's like anything you do, where you want, if you've got any ambition and it's in your head that you just want to do better and better at stuff, you keep pushing up to the next level. Within 10 years, it flew by. I found myself on the same bill as, like, you know, supporting Jack D and Eddie Izzard and Lee Evans and people like that, and thinking, hang on a minute, how have I got here? This is all an accident, really, and making decisions about where do I go from there, really.
Well, we mentioned earlier on about Phoenix Nights, and it was a massive, massive show, and that's probably the thing that got your name out there, didn't it? Phoenix Nights. Everyone, will see it and think of Jerry Sinclair, one of the most loved characters, I think, in TV comedy history, especially for singing the Bin Bag song. But we'll move on to that in a few months' time. But the relationship with Peter Kay, how is that? Because there's a lot of speculation in the papers. Whenever I see an article on Peter Kay or yourself, and is it Neil Fitzmaurice, who one of the other writers, there's always a bit of a frosty element to it. What is the relationship with Peter Kay? Is it still there?
Yes, it's like people assume because you do these shows that are so popular and you play like characters who are obviously not, I was going to say intimate, you know what I mean, who are very close.
Hey, up, Dave.
There'll be more headlines than you say.
They think, they naturally assume, they take that away from that, and they think that you're best mates, you're big mates, but actually it's a job that you come together and do.
Yeah.
We had a great time while we're doing it, and then because I've not seen Peter for like a year, people going, oh, he must have fallen out, but we're not. It's just like people who you lose contact with a little bit. We get swap Christmas cards and birthday cards, and it's like any job where you're working closely with people. You'll have arguments. Everybody has arguments, and I think we had one argument at the British Comedy Awards about an award.
Was the thing I read about.
Really?
Yeah.
What papers do I not read? I didn't read that. I missed all of this. What was the argument,
Daily Liar,
Dave?
the Daily Red Top. There's loads of them.
But they do exaggerate out of all proportion. We had a bit of an argument, that's all, like you do with your work colleagues and stuff, and then that was all blown over and off we go again. So there's no problem, but there never has been a problem.
Like you said, though, it's unfortunate that your argument did happen at the British Comedy Awards.
Yeah, well, prior to them, that was the deal, really, but,
Never mind.
Yeah.
Listen, whether you're friends with him or not, together you made each other's career, so that's what counts.
Personally, anyway, David, it's only consolation. I think you're funnier anyway.
Yeah.
Than Peter Kay.
You start.
I've got your DVD, not his.
Yeah, print that one.
God bless you.
Dave, who's your favourite comedian, kind of now and maybe in the past?
I was very influenced when I was growing up. We didn't have a television. My dad, who was a patron decorator, self-employed, no job too small, and he was but he was a very impressive man. He self-taught himself in like literature and art and classical music and stuff. And I grew up sort of surrounded by that. But he wouldn't have a telly at first, and we had the radio because he was like the theatre of the mind. He was like, no, you've got to listen to stuff on the radio and paint your own pictures. And I think that's certainly helped me in my the creative side. But we used to listen even mad on radio comedy, so I was very influenced by Round the Horn and people you won't remember, Round the Horn, the Clither Arcade.
Heard of the Clither Arcade?
Yeah, Navy Lark and all that sort of stuff. But then when telly came in and we discovered Morecambe and Wise, he was my first massive hero, and still is. And one of my happiest memories of me and my dad is sliding off the couch side by side, laughing that much we couldn't. When you can't breathe and you actually slide down your chair for some reason.
Yeah.
And you do think you're going to die.
You're like a distressed seal. You make that noise.
That's right, yeah. So there was I loved Eric Morecambe. I loved Phil Silvers in Bilko. I thought he was a genius. Yeah. Modern day, well, I'm a massive Billy Connolly fan.
Yes.
He was my biggest hero, I think, but early Billy Connolly. At the moment, if I had to name names, I think I like Lee Mack a lot.
Yes.
And he's like, he's localish, isn't he?
Yeah.
Is he Southportish or something like that, Lee?
I'm not too sure, actually.
Yes,
I think he's definitely north, yeah.
Yeah, he's honestly, he's the next big thing, I think. Well, he is big anyway, Lee, but he's very, very good stand-up. So I'd probably pick him.
Can you go and watch comedy shows, though? Because surely I imagine if you were doing a stand-up and you could see Lee Mack, we'll use him, or Billy Connolly sitting in the front row, would it put you off? Would it put other comedians off?
Yeah, it does. And it's like when I do, I used to compere the North West Comedy Awards, and you've got everybody there. All your top Manchester and Liverpool comedians, and you've got to write a script that's... I mean, the thing is that at the end of the day, they know what you're going through, sort of thing, and quite often they would rather you be doing it than them, to be honest.
Yes.
So you've got the respect for doing it as long as you make a good job of it, and the majority of the audience are punters anyway. So you aim it at them rather than keep glancing over to see if all the comics tables are laughing or not.
Oh no! What if they're not? You'd have to just chuck something at
Horrible,
them.
wouldn't it?
Yeah.
You just get a bit of a tough skin doing this job. So you just. As long as if your audience are laughing, it's like when you read criticism. I mean, I've been lucky enough on this tour to get mainly, all good ones, but now and again you get some bloody I swore then, is that all right?
That's all right.
It's all right, we're northern, we're fine.
We're amongst friends, we're fine.
And going like, his comedy's very accessible, it's not very challenging, and it's not very, provocative. No, am I making people laugh, though? That's the job, isn't it? And as long as the audience are enjoying it, that's all that matters, really, isn't it?
Tell us about Bullseye.
Oh, yes.
Well, I turned Bullseye down a few times because I'm a massive fan, and I'm a massive Jim Bowen fan, and I thought, you can't follow Jim, he is Mr. Bullseye, isn't he? And so... But they made it clear that he wasn't going to be doing it, so I thought, well, it might as well be me then, eh?
Yeah.
But imagine that, but a show that you've really, really been part of your life, and all of a sudden you're behind the scenes before the audience come in doing Bully's prize board with Tony Green, and Tony's going, in one!
Yes.
And you're going, mate, finding lost treasure, an absolute pleasure. It's like a metal detector.
It's living the dream, stuff like that, isn't it, though?
Oh, it is. Mate, if you're going to stew it, you're going to need this cruet. A cruet set. That's what you want on a prize on a game show.
What is a cruet set?
Salt and pepper. Come on.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, see, in Wirral we call those condiments, Dave.
Condiments.
Yeah.
Well done.
Dave, I read through your press release for your tour. It read like stats here that I liked. If I laugh for just 1 hour, I'll burn off 200 calories. And that's a pint of lager.
Yeah. So if you laugh at everything I do for 2 hours, we're both winners, aren't we?
Absolutely. You can just drink it. It's almost an advert for binge drinking. It's brilliant. I love it.
Binge drinking. Women are drinking more than men now. I read it. It's just a funny thing. I was just reading that in the papers. I sat here waiting, and there's awful things happening to them. They're waking up the next morning in bed with ugly men. It's about time.
Yeah,
it's about time.
I tell you what, mention in the papers, which you just done then, you got some cracker reviews for this show. The Liverpool Echo called you a national treasure, said you're a down-to-earth genius. That's a really nice thing to say, isn't it?
That's a lovely... sometimes they just nail it, and you think, thank you for doing that, because a lot of the time the reviews are very clinical, and they just go through your acts and try and be too clever. And the other one I had that I treasure is from The Guardian, that just says smart, unpretentious comedy, and that's what I like. I just think it is unpretentious, and it is accessible, and it's working class, and it's just about our lives, really. It's just... I'm not trying to be clever and arty-farty about it. I'm just talking about things that affect us all, And trying to
entertain, which is the important thing. That's what we're all there. Like you say, laughter is the best medicine, isn't it?
Yeah.
So tell us a bit about the show then.
It's loosely based on the fact that I worked in a hospital, so that's the best medicine. And also my dad, who's a man of many sayings, always used to say laughter was the best medicine, which is why when I was 6 nearly died with diphtheria. Dad, I can't breathe. Knock, knock. And so it's like looking at, laughter, what we laugh at in life, and at school, I get asked a lot, was I the class clown? And I wasn't. The class clown was a guy called Derek Rigby. We had a Jonathan Ross thing going on, so he couldn't say Derek Rigby. It was always Derek Rigby. And I know, you shouldn't laugh, but you do. You're kids.
You do.
It's funny, isn't it? It's kids. And when you went to school, there was always a kid with really sticky out ears and a really big nose. He had both of them as well.
Oh my
it was
God.
all in the one package. When he looked at you, he looked like a VW Beetle with doors open. And when he went to bed at night, he used to sleep with an elastic band around his head to try and pull his ears in.
I'm crying here, Dave.
I'm starting to feel sorry for him.
I know. But when he came to school, he had a red stripe across the middle of his head where the elastic band had been. Bless him.
Little does this poor fella realise he's sucking into his breakfast somewhere,
No, he does. He does. No, the weird thing is, I met him in Manchester about a year ago, and he came... I've not seen him since school. He came running down this Oxford Road in Manchester, and he was shouting, Dave, Dave, Dave. And I turned around, I thought, I know him from somewhere. And he went, and he just put his arms wide, and he went... Do it with me! And I went, all right, Derek, how are you doing? And he went, I'm doing great. I'm doing really great. I said, what are you up to? He said, I'm doing... This is true, all true. He said,
He's just giving you more material, isn't he?
Yeah. He said, get this. He said, I'm doing demolition. Oh, I said, demolition. It surprised me, because at school he always wanted to be a bin man, because he only worked 1 day a week. That's how thick he was. He said, I'm in demolition. Do you know what they call me? They give me a nickname. And I said, no, what do they call you? Wecker. I thought the rotten buggers have given him a nickname he can't say as well.
I wanted to drive a Wobbin Walliant as well. That'd work for me.
Right, I'm not going to involve myself in this lambasting of this man. So the show, we can get more details of that on your website, which is davespikey.co.uk. Dave, thanks very much for coming on the show.
Dave,
thanks for having me.
Do you know what? You're dead lovely.
I try my best.
You are. You're really nice.
It's ordinary.
Well, I wasn't expecting you not to be nice, but you're nicer than I thought. So that's made my day start very well.
Bless you.
You know what, Dave? You can go up even higher in my estimation as well if you make my dreams come true by doing a bit of a duet with me. You know the song I'm talking about, don't you?
Here we go.
Come get your black bin bags. They're on offer till December. Heavy duty black bin bags. Oh, brilliant, Dave Spikey.